Hello and welcome back to the Oasis podcast, the ultimate audio guide to Oasis. Today we are going to be doing another tier list, a tier maker video. So if you're watching on YouTube, then you'll be able to see all the the album covers being moved around. And if you're listening on the podcast, obviously that's fine, but you can always go and jump over to the YouTube to go and check it out. And today what I'm doing is every post Oasis Liam Gallagher album. And the reason for that is Liam last week played what's his, for now, his last ever solo show because he played Malta, and that was it. They gave the band a bigger round of applause, and I think it's Christian Madden, who's the one of the members of his band, has been doing posts sort of saying about this being the end of the road for them. So, by all intents and purposes, it sounds like we are done. And then he's just going to be taking time off before Oasis next year, which is very exciting. But yes, so I thought, well, now we're then looking back, aren't we? We're looking back at the last sort of 15 years post Oasis. What was Liam doing? Well, after Oasis broke up in 2009, he didn't hang around. The remaining members of Oasis, other than Noel, formed Beady Eye. And the first Beady Eye album came out in 2011, and it's called Different Gear Still Speeding. So just to say, what are the tiers here? I've gone with biblical, excellent, very good, good, decent but flawed, and rubbish. Now, I've got a feeling most of these are going to be in the middle three tiers with Liam solo stuff, but we'll see how we go. Um, all right, so let's think about Different Gear Still Speeding then, shall we? So this was Beady Eye's debut album. I'll be honest, I was disappointed when it came out. I just didn't think it was that great. I thought I had some really good moments, like I liked Bring the Light, especially. I like Four Letter Word, and those sort of tunes I still really enjoy. Um, but there's some pretty rubbish songs on here. I mean, Beatles and Stones is pretty dreadful. And something like The Morning Sun, I find just really, really drags on. Wigwam really drags on. The Standing on the Edge of Noise, like something like that. It's like a really good rocker that, it's like a typical Gem Oasis tune. It's like, it's a good rocker, but it's not brilliant. It's medium, sort of medium level Oasis tune. Um, so yeah, we got the Millionaire, you got the Roller. It's a good album. I'd say it's good. I wouldn't put it. I don't think it's quite bad enough to be decent but flawed. I think it's good because there's enough good stuff on there. So yeah, I'd say it's a good album. I like it. Although I do understand if this was a few years ago, probably before I did the Oasis podcast, it would be indecent but flawed. Or if I was feeling particularly mean, it would be in rubbish. But I think that because I've done so much more listening to BDI, because I do the podcast, so you've really got to think about it. You've got to analyze it and think about it in the grand scheme of things. It's definitely gone up in my estimation over the years. So right now it is good. Okay, so the next album they did was BE, the second BDI album from 2013. And once again, this is a good album. It is flawed, I'd say, in a similar way to the first album, but I think it's more that the production is really good on this album, um, and it's just got a sort of a richer sound. The first album seemed very basic in the production. This has got quite a lot more going on. And there's interesting songs, stuff like Flick of the Finger is really cool. Soul Love has got a lot of good stuff. Face the Crowd is really interesting. Like it sounds like a ride song, basically, being an Andy Bell song. Um, but there is, there are elements that are not ideal. Like Dreaming of Some Space, I think is like their worst song. I mean, it's a bit harsh because it's just like a backward song, but there was no real need to have that in there. Start Anew, I find quite boring and basic. So it's fine. Like there's once again, I think it sits in good. I think it's like I probably would have had it in decent but flawed a few years ago, but I think there's enough stuff on there. And like I said, the production being interesting and different. Liam's voice is actually very quiet in a lot of this. He's really when he writes songs, he seems to write a lot more sort of slower ballady songs. And so, yeah, so there's a few where he really pelts it out, but there's quite a lot where he's actually quite chill and quite gentle in his singing. So there we go. The two Beady Eye albums I've got in good. If we were ranking them, I mean, it's really hard because I pretty much, although they are quite different, I do have them pretty much neck and neck. Um, and I think today I'm probably just going to say there's enough stronger songs on the first album, so I'm going to go with the with Different Gear Still Speeding, just ahead of BE, both in good. All right, so then we move on to Liam's solo career. So just to clarify, when we talk about albums here, this is what I'm deeming to be an album. There's a couple of questions. So for instance, I've got Acoustic Sessions in here, which is an album according to Spotify, but is a EP according to um, Wikipedia. So, well, what do you class it as? I'm going for that. You've got things like if we were increasing it to EPs or singles, then you've got things like, well, you chuck in Carnation, that was a joint single with Steve Craddock. So there's things like that. But no, this is albums. So I've just got BDI, I've got Liam solo, I've got the Liam live albums in here. I've got Acoustic Sessions in there, and I've got the Liam Gallagher John Squire album. Probably should have said that at the start, but hey, you don't like these things to be too scripted, do you? So, As You Were, where are we going with As You Were? I'm gonna when with As You Were, I think it's once again, it's a very interesting one. When it came out, I suppose you've always got that issue when you have lots and lots of tracks released before the album comes out, because then it's like, well, when the album actually drops and you say, well, there's only like 6 songs I didn't know. So that's always a current phenomenon that we're going to have. But I think for me, As You Were is a strangely acousticy album, which is very unusual. Like when you think about like what was Liam's solo album going to be like, and it's sort of really acoustic driven. And even songs that shouldn't be acoustic, like Greedy Soul, for instance, is significantly better when he does it live than on here, because it really should be a punk song and it's just really driven by acoustic guitars and like female vocals. And so it just doesn't really work that well. And then just say there's deluxe editions. I'm just saying deluxe edition. I'm not sort of basing it on the CD album or the vinyl album. It's the deluxe edition because that's ultimately how I always listen to them anyway. So that means we get the bonus tracks, which are doesn't have to be that way. All My People, All Mankind, and I Never Want to Be Like You. Um, so yeah, I think this is a very strong album. I'm going to put it in very good. I think that the production is very poppy and acousticy, and that probably lets it down a little bit for me. Like I said, tracks like Greedy Soul don't quite have that punch, and there's really great songs on here. Like I love Paper Crown. That's definitely in my sort of top 5 Liam songs. For What It's Worth is an exceptional song. When I'm in Need and I've All I Need are just really lovely kind of acoustic ballads. Come Back to Me's got great kind of charlatansy, Oasisy swagger, which is really, really cool. I Can Take or Leave your like Universal Gleam, bold, and like You Better Run, clearly written by Liam, so which is cool. It's nice that Liam's written them, and it's good that, we're collating songs that Liam has written more so than I think that we get in the later albums. But yeah, I think it's a very good album, with some great moments, some okay songs, um, production, like good, strong, poppy, acousticy production. But yeah, overall, very good. All right, so the next one up is Why Me, Why Not? And we'll see what happens, but I think this is my favorite Liam Gallagher album. So yeah, I remember when Shockwave came out as the sort of the first single, I was blown away. I thought, oh, this is exactly what we want. Really aggressive and interesting, that jang, jang, jang. It's just sort of got such potent guitar playing, and the production's great. The lyrics were cool, kind of talking about Liam himself in sort of a meta way. So that was fantastic. Then we had The River as well. Once again, a really cool kind of cool rocker that I really, really liked. And we've got like One of Us, Once, both absolutely brilliant tunes, both immense songs, really powerful. Now That I Found You is just so beautiful. I think that like that line about, it's too late for lullabies, but the future's yours and mine. That's great. I mean, is there a better kind of lyric that a father could sing to a child that they never knew, growing up with them now? Um, so yeah, that's fantastic. I think that you've got then even stuff like Gone is really interesting and cool. Invisible Sun, that's sort of similar. This album's Come Back to Me, a bit more swagger, a bit more charlatansy. I don't think there's that much I really don't like on this album. I think all the way through it's great. Even tracks like Halo's pretty basic and it's got some pretty bad lyrics. Yeah, let's just say all through Liam's stuff, there is bad lyrics. Halo has got some stinkers. What is it? She's my mittens when it's cold. When it's hot, she's my lager, nice and cold, or something. It's like, oh, Liam, come on, mate, you could do better than that. Um, Be Still, All Right Now, Meadow. These are all really, really good songs. So yeah, I think this to me goes in excellent. I don't think it can go in biblical. I mean, to be biblical, you need to be like, peak Oasis level. But I think this is an excellent album. The production is fantastic. There's not a bad song on there, other than, like I said, a few questionable lyrics and things like that. But the production's great, the songwriting's great. It was the perfect mix, I think, between Liam writing some songs, then working with the army of songwriters as well. So, I just thought it was kind of like the perfect Liam album, really. Right, next up we have Acoustic Sessions. So this was interesting. So I was sort of confused thinking back, like, well, was this pre-COVID or post-COVID? Like, when did this come out? It was sort of weird. And I think it was because it feels like this wasn't like a specific, like proper album release. It feels more like a bootleg, or it feels more like something that you put out as like a little bonus disc or something like that. So, and is it an album? Well, I'm going to say it's an album because we've got 8 tracks on it. I mean, one of those is Once demo. So we've got 7 full songs and then Once as an 8 song. So, that's 31 minutes. I think that counts as an album. Some of the Beatles albums were in 30 minutes. So I think we can count it as an album. It's a very long EP, isn't it? So yeah, I think it's an album. And I really like this. I really like it. I would, to be honest, like I'd never choose to listen to it. I listened to it when it came out a few times, obviously to review it. The songs come up on shuffle. If I'm listening to Liam on shuffle, or if I'm listening to Oasis and Liam and Noel together on shuffle, then when the songs come up, sometimes I'll listen to them, sometimes I'll skip them. Because if I'm going to listen to Cast No Shadow, am I going to listen to this version, or I'm going to listen to, Liam singing it in 1995? I'm going to sing it to, I'm going to listen to the Oasis version, aren't I? So there's no real need for a lot of these songs. However, having said that, I really enjoy it. I listened to it, in preparation for today, and I just enjoyed it. It was just a really nice listen. And it's also now, it's like a moment in time as well. It's like this funny sort of period where it came out 31st of January 2020, so just before COVID. So I was thinking, like, was that a COVID album? It's like, no, it was just before, in January 2020. But yeah, but I sort of still think of it like that. So it's very strange. But yeah, and because then he then does MTV Unplugged just after, it's like, well, was this kind of the rehearsals for MTV Unplugged? And they just thought, well, let's record it and stick it out as well. I don't know. But yeah, ultimately, it's a good album. It's a fun listen. We've got some Oasis classics in there. So we've got Cast No Shadow, Sad Song. Um, Oh, and Stand By Me. So what I find interesting there is that obviously Sad Song, we knew that there was this other version of Sad Song. People were desperate to hear it. That Liam, the fact he'd recorded it with Oasis, but it had never been released. We'd heard a snippet of it on the Supersonic film. So, the fan base was like, "Oh, we want the Liam Sad Song." And so, yeah, and so Liam does what he always does. He gives the fans what they want. He recorded the Sad Song. And he does it, I think, here a lot better than he does than he did back in 1994 or 93, whenever it was. Because I think the new one that's come out, I think he's just sort of having a run through. I don't think he's really nailed it yet. Whereas here, he nails it. He's doing basically like the melody that Noel sings, and I think he does it really, really well. Um, and then similarly, I suppose, Stand By Me. Well, that's something that you often get the bonehead by the pool, bonehead's pool, them sitting around the pool playing it, you often see. So maybe he was thinking, oh yeah, that'd be a good one, because like that version is so popular. So yeah, so I think it was good to do those three. But like I said, would I really want to listen to them? No, I'll probably go off and listen to the original versions. One thing actually that I've noticed listening back to these is Liam's voice. He's got a sort of, and this is sort of one of the reasons why I would probably choose not to listen to these um, versus Oasis. He does a sort of a thing with his voice where he wavers lower on the note. So the best option, the best sort of example of it, I think, is Cast No Shadow. If you listen to him singing Cast No Shadow in Oasis, it's like, here's a thought for every man. Whereas here, he goes, here's a thought for every man. He sort of drops down on the note quite a lot. And he does it, it's just a little thing he always does, especially recently. But it's when you listen out for it, you really hear it, and it sort of can be a bit annoying. So I'm sorry if I've now pointed it out and ruined your listening of Liam Gallagher solo. But where are we going to place this? Um, I think I think I'm gonna go. Am I gonna go good or decent but flawed? Um, I suppose maybe this is where the categories are. If it was like good but I never listened to it, I'd probably change that to good but I never listened to it, because then yeah, I'd probably choose to listen to it less than the Beady Eye albums. Um, but then it is good, it is good. Um, so yeah, I tell you, yeah, I'm gonna put it. I'm going to put it just behind the Beady Eye albums, because ultimately, while the songs are better here, really they are, at least Beady Eye were original songs, and they were like really well put together and produced and stuff. Whereas this is just like, basically, some fairly straightforward cover versions, with Liam's not singing them as well. That sort of knocked out, I think, just to generate some product for the people. Um, Having said that, one of the things I haven't talked about actually is like the sort of the solo songs. So we've got Now That I Found You, Once, Meadow, and then we have Once, Acoustic. Oh, and All Right Now as well. And I really like these. I really like the fact that some of them, like Meadow, for instance, is very produced on the album. And stripping it right down, it's taking away like all the sort of that sort of more over the top, like Pink Floydy style production, I think, on Meadow. And similar with All Right Now, there's a lot of like George Harrison guitars, just taking those out into that much more acoustic-y session. I think the songs are really, really good and really solid. Similarly, I think there's some lovely string arrangements in here as well. So yeah, it's a strong set of songs. Nice to have them, but ultimately, you know, if it was a bonus track, it would be a bonus. If it was a bonus disc, fine. It'd be nice, probably better as a bonus disc. Should have called the tier that, shouldn't I? Better as a bonus disc. But anyway, there we go. All right. So next up, then we have MTV Unplugged. So this was, as I said, the next thing he did, which I was yeah, so a lot of these are similar now as well. So obviously we get things like Now That I Found You, Stand By Me, Sad Song, Cast No Shadow, Once, that we've just had on the other one. So if you sort of listen to it, it's like, oh, this one again. But I think with MTV Unplugged, what really, really makes it is the atmosphere. It's so buzzing, it's so exciting, and Liam is obviously so happy to be in Hull. He's like, yes, Hull, and it's so cool because, and it's different. Like you have someone like Dave Grohl or or like, I don't know, Chris from Coldplay, and they gush, don't they, when they do a live gig? Oh, this is such a great night. I love you guys so much. Blah 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 blah. Whereas Liam, just like, yes, Hull, and it's like, just in those two words, how much it means to him. He doesn't need to bang on about, like, wax lyrical about it. He loves it. And all the sort of there's not much, in between song banter, but what there is great. And it's just sort of so buzzy. Like the atmosphere is, it's like it's so charged. And this is just for like an acoustic gig, but the people of Hull are just buzzing. They absolutely love it. So fair play to the people of Hull. I'm going to put this in very good because obviously behind As You Were, but yeah, I think it's a really good set of songs, well produced. And yeah, and what really makes it for me is the crowd, the crowd, and just hearing how excited Liam is. Um, You've got there's some problems with it. So you've got, like, some might say, for instance, he struggles, it's too high. They should have taken that down a little bit. Um, but other than that, I think it's a good mix. Oh, the other one I was going to say is Champagne Supernova. It's like the old kind of this version of Champagne Supernova they used to do, where it's just like a piano. It's really basic and simple. And it's just like, come on, if you're going to do Champagne Supernova, do it properly. Come on. So yeah, so I don't think that's very good. Um, and just that's a good example, actually. A lot of these, like the Oasis ones, especially, like Stand By Me, some might say, and when we get onto Knebworth as well, you'll hear it. A lot of them, when Liam's doing it, like the Oasis version has like a 2 minute solo at the end, or a 1 minute like extra section at the end. Whereas like Liam, when he does them live, it's just like, right, I've finished singing now, stop. It's sort of it's a lot of them just cut out. So like the Stand By Me here, for instance, just it has that like really lovely bit. Um like near the end, there's like a way it's gonna be, yeah, that bit. That's really good. But then after that, on the main song, it goes into like a whole other bit. Whereas after this, it's just like, bump, that'll do. It's like there's no need for any more. And to be honest, I'm happy with that. Like I'm sort of the person that likes songs to be 2 to 3 minutes, get in, verse, chorus, bang, get out. I don't, some songs fine. It does need a 9 minutes or whatever. All Around the World is a good example of that. But a lot of songs, I think you can just get in, get it done, and get out. And I really like the brevity of a lot of the songs on here. All right, so what's next? We have Down by the River Thames. So this was a funny one as well. So this was a real kind of throwback to COVID, really. So yeah, obviously Liam's recorded it like right in the middle of COVID. Didn't come out until 2022. So that was a bit sort of funny. I know for a while people were like, is he releasing it or not? Because as well, you can't, I mean, I don't think you still can like buy it on DVD either, or buy it on digital downloads of the actual gig. Like maybe they're waiting for the 10th year anniversary of it or something. But yeah, it was a bizarre one. But yeah, so Liam sort of I remember it. I remember covering it on the podcast. People were like, Liam was on a boat, like in the middle of the Thames. Like, what the hell was going on? And like little bits of video footage and stuff was leaking from Liam, like randomly on a boat in the Thames, and it was so weird. And then yeah, obviously, then we found out what it was. It was this, and we all watched it on that. It was some bizarre app that you had to download on your TV to watch it, but or on your computer and then plug it into TV. But yeah, we managed to do it, and yeah, it was quite an experience, and it's sort of it was great. I mean, like I really like it. It's the big difference for me of this versus Unplugged is the atmosphere. So because, you know, they really give it some. Liam obviously gives it, and then it ends and it's deathly silent because there's no one on the boat. COVID, there's no one around, and you can sort of feel like, oh, okay, like it feels flat when the song's finished because you expect that, that surge that Liam buzzes off. Whereas it just ends and you go, oh, okay, that's strange. There's a few little bits of fun kind of Liam interaction, like when he slags off like Rishi and Doris, and then also when I think he dedicates the song to Nemo. Um, but yeah, other than that, it's pretty straight. There's some really great versions on here. I mean, we get things like Wall of Glass, which, there's no need for that really. I think that's the main song that I'd be, I was happy for him to not play that when he was doing his Definitely Maybe tour this year. So I've been a bit sick of that. We get the Greedy Soul, like rock version. We get stuff like Morning Glory, Cigarettes and Alcohol. Head Shrinker, that is a great version. He really, really goes for it on that one. Um, and yeah, and then we get the only time we get to talk about it here, there's the version of All You're Dreaming Of, which is great. Because that's not that's not on an album. That was a one-off single, and that was brilliant. So that's one of my favorite songs of his. So yeah, it was great to get that. But look, this is a really good collection of tunes. Um, yeah, once again, we get Shockwave, we get Columbia, we get Fade Away. The version of Fade Away is excellent. We get Why Me, Why Not. So it's a really, really great selection of songs. Once again, I choose to listen to this? Like probably not. Like even versus Knebworth, which we're going to come to, just because like, yeah, it just doesn't have that same um, feel as the live albums because you haven't got the crowd there. So without the crowd, it just lacks something as a live album. So I generally wouldn't choose to put it on, but as a selection of songs and stuff, it is very good. So I'm going to put it in good. I'm going to put it ahead of Acoustic Sessions, but just behind the Beady Eye albums. Um, all right, so the next one is Liam's last solo by himself studio album, Come On You Know. So this one, I know I sort of peed off a few listeners actually, because like each single as they came out, I was actually quite kind of down on. If you think like the sort of the pre-album singles, I was a bit like, oh, okay, and it'd been quite a wait, obviously, and it was the first one post-COVID as well. So it had been quite a wait. And if you think like the singles that came out, we had Everything's Electric, which I thought was really good. Then we had like Come On You Know, which I thought was not brilliant. And we had Better Days, which I thought was like good, but okay and quite flawed. And so, yeah, and so I was a bit sort of disappointed. But then when the album came out, I was really impressed. I think, as with all Liam albums, like we said, there's going to be some shocking lyrics in there, and there are in here. There's going to be some kind of Liam own written ones that are maybe not too great. But overall, I think it's like once again, this is a very weirdly produced album. There's some strange choices on this album. Like you've got more power. The fact that the album starts with this sort of children's choir is very weird. What a strange choice. Um, but then the song More Power I really love, and I just love that idea. Like how I wish I had more power, and the singing to Mother and Father, which is sort of a callback to John and then doing that in Mother. Um, Diamond in the Dark, I think, is a great tune, sort of very Arctic Monkeysy. Don't Go Halfway, probably my favorite song on the album because it's got a real cool kind of late 60s psychedelic vibe, which I love. Come On You Know, as I said, I'm not a massive fan of. I think it's sort of a bit like half a song really that's sort of stretched. Too Good for Giving Up, I think, is good, but I don't think it's as good as his other ones. It's got a lovely meaning to it. I know the it was sort of released and funds given to sort of mental health charity, but I think it's a little bit like Let There Be Love and things, or Stop Crying Your Heart Out when he's deliberately trying to make a powerful, meaningful song. It's almost like we have to have one on this album, and this is that one, and it's good, but it's not. I don't think it's amazing. Like It Was Not Meant to Be is really fun. Everything's Electric we talked about is cool. It bangs. It's sort of clearly, I think that's the one that's been put together by Greg Kurstin, and it's got like, bits where, the singing, the instruments drop out a lot, and it's just the singing. You can hear like, oh, this is the sing along part when he does it live and things. So it's a very well structured pop song, really. Um, World's in Need is sort of just quite basic bluesy song, which I like it, but it's fine. Moscow Rules is really cool. Moscow Rules is weird and interesting, and it's like a like strange sort of story going on in the background. I'm Free, similarly, really delivers that, and that's got all kinds of strange stuff going on. It goes back and forth. Better Days, I think's okay. Oh Sweet Children, I think's okay. The Joker's cool, and The Wave is cool. So look, overall, like, I sort of think of it as like, oh yeah, that's pretty weak of it. Probably his worst album. It's pretty weak as an album. But then when you go through it, it's like it's good. It is all really good. I think there's some really great songs on there. I don't think it's as good as Why Me, Why Not. I think it's probably very close to As You Were. I'd be interested to see if I actually scored all the songs like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, or whatever, where they would come. I think maybe As You Were over the years has sort of grown a little bit more. Um, so I don't know actually. Where am I going to put it? I think I think I'm going to put it just behind As You Were, but I don't think it's significantly worse. I think they're very close, and I think tracks like Moscow Rules and I'm Free, the Joker, Wave, like those and Don't Go Halfway as well. That's an absolute banger. I'm convinced myself it's better now. Actually, I don't know. Let's say they're equal. Let's say they're equal, and I will go away and have another think about it. I think because yeah, two very good albums, but yeah, not quite up in that next echelons. All right, Knebworth 22. Similarly, as with the other Liam albums, as with the live album, sorry, it can't be in sort of like excellent because it is a live album. It's the same versions again of we have Wall of Glass again, we have like Everything's Electric again. Roll It Over is very, very special. Um, I think we get some good interactions. Liam's obviously very moved. It's there's this the I think the mixing of it in terms of the level that you can hear the crowd is really good. I think it's always there in the background. You can tell there is a crowd. It doesn't overpower it, but it does give you that vibe of like, oh yeah, the crowd is there and they're really bringing it. I think a downside to it is obviously we don't get the whole set. Plus also like the mixing is really bad. Like there's certain tracks like end like and you can hear the crowd noise just ends and then cuts off and then we get into another one. There's no sort of you know uh fading in or out to sort of make it feel like a complete live performance. So I mean maybe they're just trying to not hide the fact that it's like a bit of a butchered job, but I would have either just gone with the whole album, like the whole performance, every single track, or at least mix it in to try and make it feel like it's that way. But overall, it's a really good selection of songs. He does a proper version of Champagne Supernova, so that gives it extra points. But yeah, it's a great, I think that we lose, so we only get like Wall of Glass from the first album, for instance. We've got a nice mixture of songs from the previous two, plus we get, Wonderwall, the only appearance of Wonderwall here, which is interesting. Um, and yeah, so I think where does this sit? I think it's going to sit probably behind. I think it goes ahead of Unplugged. Does it go ahead of Unplugged? I think it does just about because these are sort of the full rock versions of these albums, sorry, of these songs. Um, and we get the vibe of the crowd. So that's what we missed on River Thames. The set list on River Thames is just as strong, or maybe stronger. So you get things like Fade Away and Head Shrinker that we don't get here. Here's much more kind of the bigger hits. We get your Wonderwall and as I said, definitely extra points for the proper version of Champagne Supernova. But yeah, so I've got it in very good, just behind Come On You Know and ahead of MTV Unplugged. Now, finally, we have probably the most divisive album in Liam's back catalogue, Liam Gallagher, John Squire. So this is really tricky because sometimes, you can listen to this and think it's actually pretty bad. There's there's certain things about it that are really great, but then there's certain things about it that just feel wrong. It feels to me like they should have had another go at it. There's certain elements to it that just doesn't quite mesh. like maybe the production was off or something that I can't quite put my finger on it, but I do like certain elements of it. Um, I do think it's a really strong album. I think there's some great tunes on there. Raise Your Hands is I really love. Mars to Liverpool. I like certain parts of One Day at a Time. Um, in a way, it's kind of got that there's certain elements of the songwriting feel first Stone Roses album, and then there's certain elements of the playing with the guitar work that feel like second coming. I don't think it really goes there like fully, like just go out and be an out and out blues album. You know what I mean? That's that if it had done that, Liam singing on that would be great. And one of the standout songs on here is I'm a Wheel, which is the only one really where he just goes out and out blues. Um, some of the tunes, aren't great. Like Make It Up As You Go Along is one of the weaker songs. Um, I'm So Bored is very strange. I mean, the lyrics are really bad. I kind of, when I did my review, I sort of said, well, look, I can kind of read it as it's coming from like a teenage point of view, or it's coming from like Jimmy from Quadrophenia point of view, or something. Maybe if you think about it like that, then it's sort of got you get the sort of the vibe of it, rather than thinking about like 60-year-old John Squire singing it. Um, and then Mother Nature's song is like probably like similar, like when they try and do like, okay, this is the big one, this is going to be the powerful one. So I think where am I going to put it? I don't think it's, I think it's a good album. Um, and I think it is it better than the Beady Eye albums? I think it's just about better than the Beady Eye albums, but I'm not sure. It's close because the Beady Eye albums have got some great songs on here, but this has got some great songs. So I think all of those really on a if I was feeling negative, if I was feeling rude, they could be indecent but flawed. But I'm feeling quite kind today, so maybe it's the whole Oasis reunion thing. So I'm going to put those all in good. So just ahead of BDI. So let's just clarify then. So excellent, so nothing's in biblical. Excellent, we have Why Me, Why Not. Very good, we have As You Were, Come On You Know, Knebworth, and MTV Unplugged. And then good, we have Liam Gallagher, John Squire, Different Gear Still Speeding, B, Down by the River Thames, and Acoustic Sessions. So anyway, there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Go ahead and comment below telling me that I'm a fanboy for not putting the worst ones in decent but flawed, or that I'm an asshole because I haven't put them in excellent or biblical. Well, it'll be one or the other, I'm sure. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. Stay in touch, stay engaged, and stay young.